Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Susannah's Come Build With Me. And today we're going to be doing this first part in the evening, and then tomorrow, which will be a few seconds for you, we'll actually do it during the broad daylight. What am I talking about? Well, the reason why we're doing this first part of the evening is because of the subject of today's Susannah's Come Build With Me. And today we're talking about lighting. And that's what we're going to be making. I'm going to be making my own platform lights. And I will show you in this first part, because it is evening, the effects that you get. And I will also show you the various lights I have around the layout. Some I've made, some I've bought, or that you can buy. And others have come from, like, I bought stuff from my Behringer days years and years and years ago from Poundland lighting, Christmas tree lighting, which I still use today, and I'll show you that as well. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about some, and then you can see some of the lighting effects for yourself at night. And if you want to try making your own lights and your own platform lights, then you can go ahead, and you can also use it for any number of uses. The ones that I've particularly made so far, I've used for my container terminal, but the ones I'm going to be making this time are going to be for my new station here at Cheston Road. So you can make it, and it is adaptable to whatever suits you, but we'll get into more of that into the video when I do the daytime bit, which will be tomorrow now. Tonight is just basically to show you the lighting effects and what you can achieve at night and how it can look at night. And if you fancy some of that and you want to try and make your own and possibly save yourself some money rather than spending money on basically readily available ones, then it's up to you. So just sit back and relax for this first part, and then after I will come back to you in the morning, and then we'll actually get down and actually start making it. So let's get crack on. So as you can see, here is the main layout, and currently it's the main layout that's really lit. It's got lighting. This whole series, this whole area here is what's actually lit. And also what's also lit, if I just pan you around a bit more, is the TMD area over there down the far side there. So we'll switch the lights on, and then you can have a good proper view of everything. I'll explain to you. In fact, what I'll do is I'll get a bit closer and explain to you the individual lights. So these ones in the foreground, you see these tall T-tail grey lamps. These are all handmade by myself and wired in by myself. The ones on the platform, which you can't really see, but when I switch the lights on, you'll be able to see, they were bought, and I'll show you at Goswell sidings because they're the same. It's just that the ones on the sidings at Goswell sidings are single heads rather than double heads. And then the ones at the very back along the back wall are my Christmas tree daisy chain lighting. So let's go and switch this all on. Oh, sorry, me just kicking the tripod again. And we shall see. Right, so as you can see, all the lighting is on. The only light that isn't on is the one for the recovery vehicle, but that's actually totally separate, which is this one here. So this is the whole lighting effect that you get, and as you can see, it comes all the way around. If I get you closer in, you can sort of see that these are my daisy chain lighting. And this is from my Christmas lighting from Poundland, which I've had for years and years and years. And there's also another one tucked behind the power signal box there. And the idea is to basically move all the way along the layout. So my next plan is to get some more lighting down at this end of the layout, maybe put some in those buildings there to shine some light onto this area, and where the new station is, there'll also be some more lighting there, which is what we're going to be concentrating on when I actually start to make the lighting on this video. And as you can see, the tea towel lamps, those are the ones I made. The ones actually at Mildenhall Station, as you can see, that's Mildenhall Station itself, those are also the Christmas tree lights. All those ones along the back wall, those are all Christmas tree lights. And then the ones that you can see on the platforms are ones that I bought off, I think it's off eBay somewhere. So I'm going to switch the lights off so you can see the full effect of it at night. So here we are at the TMD. And you can see the lighting effects down there. But you distinctly see how dark it gets down this end, which is why I want to put some more lighting along here. But it's got a nice sort of evening glow to everything. But like I said, these are my Poundland lighting that I've had for years and years that I've used there. And then we come here, and then it significantly gets brighter. And you've got the tea lamps, which these are the ones that we'll be making, that I'll show you. Those are the Poundland lighting. And then the ones on the station themselves are the ones that I actually bought. And then if we go along towards the town scene, you can see how it's lit over at the town scene too. So again, this is the town scene at night, and just to reiterate, there is no other lighting on at the moment in this flat. The only light that you can see is coming directly powered by the layout. And there you go. Now let's see if we can zoom in and focus on this one. So this is what we'll be making tomorrow. Something like this. And like I said, you can use it for, once you know how to wire it and how to install it, then the rest is up to you. You can decide the colours, where you want to put it, whether you want to put it in the yard, whether you want to put it on your station, or whether you want to adapt it for some other use or put it inside a building or something like that. You can do that as well. I did that with the bus station, where I've put some lighting in the building as well. So we'll see if we can zoom in on that. So I'm on my selfie stick, so you can try and get up close and personal with it. And you can probably see something actually. Let me just try and get this in a bit. And you can see that I've adapted some lighting to go inside the bus garage there. So you can actually see what's going on in there. So I've adapted lighting to go in there. And now I've got the selfie stick out, you can actually have a little bit more of a closer look. These are the ones I purchased off of eBay. But these ones are an absolute nightmare. Anyone who's got these will know that these are a nightmare to fit, because the wiring is so fine on these things and it's so brittle. You can easily damage one. I mean, this one, there's one here that isn't actually working. I don't know why, so I'll have to look into it. I haven't actually checked yet to see why this lamp isn't working. So I've got to do something about that. But I do have an idea that if I can't get it to work, I might put some cones around it and a work around it and make it out like he's trying to repair it. So it's not the end of the world. You can still sort of make some sort of cameo out of it. And then if you go towards the back, these are all the ones done by Poundland and are daisy chains all together. And also, you see this little building here. This little building's lit. And again, this is just one of my Poundland lamps that I've just drilled a hole in and put the wiring through, and just to put a little light in there so you can see what's going on inside. And then if we go to the station building, I don't know if you can get right into that, but as you can see, you can actually see some detail that's going on inside the building. I don't know if you can see any more than that. You can probably see the ticket barriers, some information sign. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can swing around without knocking. But you can actually see some detail of what's going on in there. So, and there's also a little light that goes on inside the building there. I should point out that actually this building here that's got lighting, the lighting isn't actually got anything to do with me. I've actually just extended the wiring. This is one of those buildings that came from Woodland Scenics as part of their plug and play range, I think they call it, where they've got the lighting involved already. The lighting's already pre-installed, and then all you got to do is um, then wire it in basically. So that little switch there that you can see on the right, that's how I use to switch on and off the lights. And I just thought I'd show you. This is one of these plug-in transformers which I've bought. And as you can see, there's a little dial on this, and you can rotate the dial to whatever voltage you want. And basically this runs from, I think, from about 3 volts. Oh, actually, sorry, it's supposed to be the other way around so you can read it. There you go. It's from 3 volts to 12 volts. Now this one's set on 12 volts because these LEDs that I bought off of eBay were 12 volts. But the ones on the layout are all set to 3 volts. And what this does is it eliminates the use of needing a resistor, because therefore you don't need a resistor because it's already set at the correct voltage. The actual handmade one that I made that I showed you, I've had to put a resistor on that one because that LED was rated at 3 volts, but all the others were rated at 12. So I could plug them all in the same place without blowing that LED. I put a resistor into that one, but all the others didn't need resistors because they're already rated at 12 volts. So you can use this dial just to rotate it to whatever voltage you need, and this eliminates the need for resistors. So that's what I do. And then basically that's how the layout, the lights are powered on the various. I've got about 2 of these on the main layout because I've got a lot of lights and LEDs on there. So I've got 2 of these to be able to cope with all of them. And then I'll get another one of these to power up the Chaston Road, because it's just going to be easier to power it up from that end. I've stuck the socket down there, it's extension socket down there already, so it's ready for me to get another one of these and then connect those. Or alternatively, what you can do is, if you don't want to do it through the plug socket, you can actually use a battery pack. If you use a battery pack, you can get like these little mini battery packs which are like for 3 volts, and they will run perfectly fine on that. The only thing is about that is, as a temporary measure it's good, but not as a long-term solution, I don't think, because you get the consistent level of lights when you're powered it to the mains, whereas the batteries, obviously over time they'll start to weaken, and so therefore your lighting will get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. So just to get consistent light and for longer periods, I'd rather just connect them up to these regulated transformers. Now you've seen the lighting effects here at Mildenhorn Districts. If it's something you feel that you'd like to see more of, then stay tuned, because in a few seconds for you, but tomorrow for me, we will get down and show you how I go about making these lamps and what you need. And we'll find out together, because I'm actually trying a new sort of method tomorrow. Basically, I'm using slightly thinner tubing to try and get a better look, and again I'll explain that all to you tomorrow. So until tomorrow, and a few seconds for you, stay tuned and come build with me. So good evening everybody, and this has been about a week or so since my last clip, just purely because of work commitments and finding the time to do the rest of this video. Videos are tending to be a bit like this at the moment, but anyway, let's just get straight into it. So I'm now going to show you how I make my lamps. Now, the first thing to say before I show you anything of what I'm using and what I'm doing is it's not necessarily a disclaimer, although I am no electrician by trade or anything like that, and you do things at your own risk. But the thing being is, a lot of what I'm going to show you is very subjective, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of decisions to be made along the way for doing this. And it's things like what type of lamp you're going to make, what type of LEDs you're going to use, do you need resistors, what colour scheme do you want to put it in, and all the rest of it. And it's all these little things that you make, so all these decisions to make. So I'm just going to show you for what I need, but you can then customize it, and I think that's the word for this video. It's totally customizable to suit yourself. And the way that I make my lamps, you can quite easily put into buildings, and not just necessarily for street lamps and things. So let me just show you some of the things that I have here on the bench, as you do, and then we'll get on with it. So I'm just going to prop you down. Let's see if that holds. That should hold. Yep, that holds. So one of the many things on my bench, I guess I'm not really quite sure where to start really, but I guess we'll show you what I've got as is. So the things you're definitely going to need is not the remote control, but you'll need a soldering iron, which I have to hand here. You don't necessarily need this, but I find it very useful. It's called it's by a company called Ep3. It's called Helping Hands, I think they call it, and it just basically allows you to do things hands-free. I've had this for quite a few years now, and it's got a magnifying glass and some crocodile clips, and that helps you to hold everything in place. I've also got some wire. You've also got some wire strippers. I have a pen and have some flux. This is to clean the soldering iron. I've got some Yoo-hoo glue as well. There is some heat shrink here in this bag. And then we've also got some LEDs. These are some red ones, but I won't be using the red ones. These are yellow, and all of these ones are white ones. So if you've got plenty to do, what I suggest, because I've got these all from eBay, is if you buy them in bulk, it's cheaper. So if you've got a fair amount to do, just buy them in bulk. They don't cost a huge amount, to be honest. And I've got a pack of resistors here as well, but I think I touched upon this earlier on in the clip. I can't remember now because I did the clip at the beginning of the week. You may not necessarily need these, and this is one of those decisions that you have to take. For example, the LEDs I'm using are 3 volt. So if I was to plug this into a 12 volt circuit, I'd have to use a resistor so as not to blow the LEDs up. But because I use those regulators that you can dial up the voltage to whichever you want, then I don't need the resistors, because I could just dial the transformer down to 3 volts, and then that saves me having to use the resistors. And equally, it goes up to 12 volts. So if you've got 12 volt lighting, you don't necessarily need the resistors either. But obviously, it depends in what context you're using it. So if you are going to plug 3 volt LEDs or whatever into a 12 volt circuit, then you're going to need to have some resistors in order not to blow it up. So then I've got some solder wire, and you're also going to need, well, I've got this. It's a little battery pack, and you'll see why in just a moment. And I also had an A4 sheet of styrene, but that's been now whittled down to just this little rectangle here and this bit here, which is more than enough than what I need in any case, because it's perfectly good for the demonstration. And then there's this, which is the main component of the lamps that I'm making, and this is polystyrene tubing, and it's number 227. That's the easiest way to remember it, like so. and it comes as a pack of 3. But like I said, again, it's open to interpretation. Only you know how many lamps you want to make and how many you'll potentially get out of these. I will get 6 out of these 3 because I basically split them down the middle. And the reason why I split them down the middle is that if you decide to have your lamp slightly taller, then obviously at one end, then there's going to be less to play with at the other end. So then you won't have even. You won't be even. So basically, by splitting them down the middle, then you get more value. But again, like I said, it depends on how you want to use them and what you want to make. And then what happens is you've got a number of ways of doing it. I've painted this one up, and this is in a primer. It was primed, but then it was painted up in a grey. And this is the sort of ones that you see on my Volmer container terminal. But I've experimented with getting slightly thinner ones because the diameter to make them slightly thinner to make them look a bit better, or of better appearance. Now I don't know if you can sort of see that there's a diameter difference. I think you can there, and you can see that this one's slightly smaller diameter. And that is what this is the diameter of what this 227 is this diameter here, the smaller one. You'll also notice that this particular tube is been represented in the Southwest Trains colour scheme, and this one is in the GWR colour scheme. Now, again, this is a decision that you sort of take, that, for example, on the South Western Railway, the lamps aren't all the same. There's all these variations. I've looked at so many pictures and I've looked down my line, and they're not all like this. But this is the scheme that I actually quite like. And so I picked this one out. And equally for the GWR, that a lot of the GWR ones aren't like this, but I saw that they've been refurbishing. I think it was Exeter Central or Exeter St David's, and they've now decided to start using this kind of colour scheme, which is what I've decided to use. But again, it's open to interpretation, and depending on what you're modelling, depending on what you're going to be using it for, you can easily, I'm using these for platform lights, but you can equally use them, like I said, for the container terminal or for street lighting, and you also use them to put them inside buildings. So there's lots of uses for them. So it all totally depends on how you want to do it. Now, I'm not actually sure if it's actually going to work. I'm taking a bit of a chance, really, because the other head, the other tube is thicker in diameter, and I know that the LEDs fit. I haven't really tested it on this, so this could go completely wrong, and maybe I can only put one LED in at a time. So we'll have to see. So I guess the first thing to do is I'm going to just try and declutter things a little bit, just to make it a little bit more easier for you to sort of see. What I'm going to do is see if I can get you down a bit further to make it a little bit more simpler for you to look at. Oh, no, that wasn't meant to happen. Right. Why is it I always have to get the dogs barking? Right, okay. So, the first thing I want to do is what I normally do when I start doing these things is, before I even make any kind of start on these things, now I have checked them, but I will check it again with you just so you can see what I mean. So this is my battery power pack. It's just 2 AA batteries, and it's connected to a little collector lead. Now what that does is, rather than me having to fight with individual leads to sort of hook them up to test them onto the 2 ends, all I have to do is just slightly split them, and then I can just plug them in, and then it should light up, all being well. And there you can see that the LED is working. So that's the first test. because you don't want to go through all that hassle of soldering and putting it all together, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm ready to test it now, and then it's like, doesn't work. So that's the first thing. The second thing I'm going to do is I just want to just check before I start whether or not I'm going to be able to get 2 in here, and because obviously that's kind of the idea, but whether it works or not, I'm not sure. I just want to actually let me just test this one, make sure that this one's okay as well. There you go, that one's working as well. Because like I said, I haven't actually tested it, I just wanted to test the diameter. And just see whether or not. So it is a bit tight, but it will work. Now, so what you need to do is, for this to work, and you know whether it doesn't work because it only works one way. When you're doing a twin head, like I'm planning on doing, you need to put the 2 long legs together. There's one, as you can probably see, one slightly longer than the other one. Put the 2 long ones together and the 2 short ones together. So the first thing I do is I bend them over like that, straight 90 degrees, as you can see, and then the shorter leg you match up, but you put it the other way. So hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be a bit hard to show you, but basically the 2 long legs are together, the 2 short legs are together, but basically they're facing in the opposite direction. So you've got the 2 short, I mean, it's going to be quite difficult to see, but like I said, put the 2 short legs and 2 long legs together. Then the other thing, so then the next thing you need to do is, I just spread them out a bit, is I get me helping hands here, and just clamp it. And then what I do then is I get some wire, and we start, and again, this is again open to interpretation, which colours you use and how much length you need, because obviously you need to determine the power source and everything like that, and determine how much you're going to need in order to plug it into where you need it to go. So I'm going to go like this. Right. And then what I'll do is I'll grab the blue wire as well. So, and then just run my fingers along and basically get more or less the same length. So I know that both the cables are pretty much of equal length. So, and then afterwards I just need to strip them down. So bear with me a sec. Right, so we're now sort of ready to do some soldering. Now, anyone who knows me will know that I'm not the best at soldering at all. So please don't sort of have a go at me soldering, because I know it's not the best. I've got used to it and I've learned a lot. Right, give that a tug. That is fabulous. Right, so that's that one done. And then we need the blue one. And a bit of flux here. And then we go with right, okie dokie. And we go back to here. Hold it. Let's see, that hasn't worked. Now, really, a lot of people would probably twist it around there rather than just put it side by side like what I've done. So let me just show you what I've done. You can see what I've done there. Now, I can't remember which one is which, so we'll have a look, see. But it's a moment of truth where we test it to see whether we've done it right or not. So we'll just plug it into one side and go out on the other side, and there you go, there's that one, and then there's that one. So none of them are working because that's probably the wrong way around. So let's just check, because it can only work one way. And there you go. And as you can see, they're both lit up. So then you know that if only one of them works, it means that you've wired one of them the wrong way around. But as you can see, they're both working, so you don't need to worry about that. And then the next thing you need to do is, now we know that's done, the only thing I should point out to you also is these tubes are plastic, so they don't conduct any electricity. In the early days, I did make the mistake of buying some brass ones, and I had problems with them, so that's why I've, I mean, stupid me, it's just a rookie schoolgirl error, really. And basically it wasn't insulated properly. Although I did insulate it, it wasn't insulated properly, and so I had problems with it. So that's the reason for that. The next thing to do is to do a little bit of heat shrinking. One of them's slightly thicker than the other one. I got this from Paul at my local model shop. So yeah, I think I prefer the other one. Okay, so we'll do that then. Where's the skizzers? There you go. We'll do. Right, so bear with me a minute. So now I've got some heat shrink here. As you can see, there's a heat shrink. It's quite a long piece, but it's just to make sure, because it is going to be tight in there when you put it into the tube. So you want to make sure that there's no, there is going to be no short circuit with them touching. You only need to do one because the tube itself is plastic. You just need to do one. I just use the back of the soldering iron just to sort of tickle it. So that won't be going anywhere. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to test it, really. Again, it's all you're doing is always constantly testing these things. Now, the thing is, the other thing to bear in mind is that the diameter of this tube won't allow you to put a resistor into it. So if you need to add a resistor into it, what you need to do is thread this into the tube first and then solder it once you got past the diameter of the tube. So I'll just sort of show you it. So bear with me, I'm not in the camera. Let's do that. Right, so that's that in there. As you can see, there's a tube, and then you just thread the wires through until you get to the end, and hopefully this will all fit. It is a tight fit, but it does fit. And there you go, look. It does fit indeed. Quality. So I wouldn't want to go smaller than that, but that's the narrowest I can do. So there you go. Then you've got a tall lamp there. There you go. And there's the wiring that goes underneath. Now, like I said, if you need to, say for example, you're going to wire this into a 12-volt supply, you need to put a resistor onto it, but you have to put the resistor on once you thread it through the tube, because it won't fit. The resistor won't fit in the tube if you do it first. So once again, let's go back to our helping hands, which is a great sort of nice little lifesaver. It does help a lot, and so you hopefully you can see it. I know you can't see it. Okay, so there it is there. So we do another little test to make sure that we still haven't damaged the light in the wiring as we put it in. I think it's. And there you go, look, they're both working. As you can see. And that's how you sort of make a simple platform light, really. Because I know the ones that I've got on Mildenhall Station cost me about £20. And you can get a lot more value for money doing it this way. And then you get to customise it in whatever you want. The ones on the platforms are just their standard sort of metallic grey. So the next thing to do is to let's see if I can do it like this. That's it. So I'm going to do it like that because it's going to be easier. I'm just going to pinch it at the bottom because that's what I want to do. Okay, so now the next thing to do is let me see if I did have a template, but I don't know if I've still got one. This isn't. Let me just see if this will hold in its current state. Oh, there you go. That's it. Right. So I originally bought an A4 sheet of white styrene paper, and I sprayed it up in this grey for something else, for a different project altogether. But it is sort of the heads that I wanted to use it as a downlighter for it to again send the light in the right direction, basically. So bear with me a minute. I did have a pair of scissors here, so bear with me a second. I'll go and get some scissors. So I don't know if you can see, that was a template that I'd made some time ago when I did the lamps on Volmer container terminal. So this is the bit that goes on top to direct the light down, so the light doesn't just go flying off into the air. So I'm going to use this template to mark it out onto this piece of card and cut around it, and then we'll have another little section done. We'll have one of these done. like I said, this is totally customizable to whatever you want. You can put whatever colors you want. If you don't need twin heads, then you don't need to use, you just need to use just one LED. But because this is going onto the island platform at Cheston Road, it sort of needs to be on both sides really. So that's why I've got a sort of double head. But like I said, if you were to do it as a street lamp, you might want to just do one side. If, like I say, it's up against the wall or something like that. But or if you're doing like a motorway or something like that, or dual carriageway, you can use this for the central reservation type thing. And yeah, that's kind of about right. But I think all it is just about trimming and trying to get it to look half decent. Right, and then that is about it really. And then this is when your Yoo-hoo comes into hand. Now I did try some other glues, but I found that Yoo-hoo sort of probably worked the better out of all of them. No. It's the thing, when you open a brand new Yoo-hoo, it just literally just so over full. Like just as soon as you open it, it just splodges all over the place. Right, so you then sort of sit it down, and I tend to basically eyeball it, and yeah, that's how that goes. And then you just let that set, and bear with me a minute, I'm just gonna wash my hands and I'll be straight back with you. So here we are in the dark. I thought I'd give you a bit of a demo. And this is it. It's only because it's not, as you can see, there's some light bleed on that. So I'm gonna go over that again. I did have some issues with light bleeding originally, but I gave it another coat and it was fine after that. So it just needs another coat, and then after it'll be fine. It'll have, it only kind of shows up sort of in the evening when you do that. You see that it's got a load of light bleed through the top, so I'll take that out and then basically redo it. But that's not really a big problem. Like I said, I'll just get some paint and I paint over that, it'll be fine. So like I said, here's our little plain, simple sort of Southwest Trains kind of platform lamp, and this will go on Cheston Road behind me for the platform. So platform 1, platform 2, whichever, vice versa, so it covers both sides. But like I said, if you were to use, if you put this up against the wall, then basically you'd probably turn around and go, okay, you only need one head. So it all depends on how you want to use it. But basically what I've just shown you how to make one of these, you can use in the same way to power buildings and stuff like that. And you don't necessarily have to have a regulator. Just a simple battery pack, even like this, connected to a switch will do. And that's probably the safest thing to do. But I just use this as a means of sort of like testing the LEDs as I go along. Because if you test it as you go along, then you're sort of not going to get to this stage where you finished it and you're kind of going, oh, that's great, right, let me go and check it. Oh, it's not working. And then you've got to undo all that work again and you don't know where the problem is. So if you test it as you go along, then you know where the fault is. So so that's a nice little, my first little tea lamp to go on Cheston Road. I think I'm going to need about another 2 or 3 to go with it. And then I've got, like I said, I've still got a shed load to do for St Anne's station, and also this will be for Wigmore station also. So I've got quite a lot to keep me busy. But in the meantime, I do have this one now ready and working. And then when that gets plumbed in, that should create a nice little glow in that area. Because like I said, when I did the cab ride before, you know, as soon as you got past the TMD, it was just literally just pitch black and you couldn't really see anything. So now, hopefully, you'll be able to sort of see as you go around the layout a bit more lighting. And like I said, if you want to customize and make your own little T-lamps, again, the things you really need to know, the soldering and the soldering iron and bits for the solder, you kind of know all that because you've got your own tools as well. Things like scissors and wire strippers you've probably got too. And there's no point in me really telling you about paints and things, because again, it's totally customizable to you and how you intend to use it. Like I said, what I would say is I got my LEDs from eBay, and I bought them as like a pack of 20, or I think you can even get packs of 50. So if you can work out in advance how many you're going to need, then it will save you some money, because I've made a mistake of kind of dipping in and bought a little bit, and then I realised I didn't have enough, and then you got to dip in again. But then this time you're paying the extra postage. So if you know what you're going to need all told, then you just get one bulk pack, and then you've just paid one set postage. So for this sort of T-lamp and the diameter of that, which I'm really pleased with actually. I wouldn't want to go for any thinner than this. Like I said, this one is thicker. And let me just show you the other one. So compare it again. You can see that that is quite a bit thinner. There you go. So you can see how thin it is. So that is pretty thin, and that is about as thin as I'd go. And to be honest, and it's just about as thin as it's going to take. To be honest, I don't think if I went any thinner, I don't think I'd be able to fit the LEDs in. So that's how they come out. So all I need to do is just do another coat of grey paint on the top, just to get rid of the light bleed, and that should be sufficient. And so yeah, so I'm really pleased with that, and that's just a nice little simple customizable platform lamp. And because the ones I bought, like I said, I think it was about 5 for £20, and one of them was already broken when I got it on that side, and one of them on this side is packed up, and the wires are so thin that once they break, you can't do nothing with them. There's no way you can repair them. This is why I prefer making my own, because I can use slightly more thicker wire, still thin wire, but it's slightly thicker, and it's more manageable. It's easier to work with, and because I've made it myself, if anything goes wrong with this, I know how to replace it and what I need to do. I can still save the tube. All I'd have to do is just basically replace the LED or the wiring or whatever. So that's why I prefer to do it, and you get more mileage, more money out of this. This is a pack of 3, but if you split them down the middle, which is what I've done with these, you get 6 out of these, and so then again you get more mileage out of that. So that's basically you know, less than £1 per lamp. But obviously you still got to pay for the LEDs. But like I said, if you buy it in bulk, it does work out cheaper. So yeah, those are my tips. I hope you've enjoyed that. So this is a little quick Susannah's come build with me. I'm really sorry it's taken so long to get back onto it and to get back into doing it. But I will come back with another one fairly soon. But like I said, hopefully, a few people had asked me about how you make things and when you're going to come and do another Susannah's come build with me. So I hope you've enjoyed this little how I kind of do it. And you've got a nice little platform light there. And like I said, I've given you the options. Any comments, any questions, just put them in the comment section below. And then after, I'll try and get back to you ASAP. But my work has really changed. Ever since I've changed from 4 to 5 days, it has been quite, it's more and more difficult to find the time and the energy to put up videos. And so it's been a real kind of chore. At the moment, there isn't any trains running because there's been, network rails here at Milton Hall and Districts, and they're doing track replacement, and quite a lot of track has been replaced, and that is basically to try and get more speed out of the layout. And also the track plan has changed quite a bit, not a huge amount, but enough that I've had to change quite a bit, although it doesn't look too much to the naked eye. But I have changed it in order to try and get everything running the way I want it to. And in the meantime, you have fun with these little mini projects. So until the next time, thank you for joining me with Susannah's Come Build With Me. And thank you for those who were also pestering me to do the Susannah's Come Build With Me, because it was kind of like a bit of a kick that I needed to do this, because I do like doing these things. I know it's been a long time in coming, so hopefully the next one won't be so long. So you take care, and it's goodbye from Mildenhall and Districts. Until the next time, and the next time will be a layout update, and it will be speed. That's the theme. So bye for now, and until the next time, take care now. Bye bye.